Be a part of the conversation.
We can't fix America's debt by starving its people.
Have your say.
One shooting after another, and we're doing nothing to solve it?
This is WSIC News Talk Now. The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
And Happy New Year, everyone. Cornelius, Mayor Woody Washam right here, getting the new year kicked off. I'm telling you what, I can't believe 2024 is past now, and here we are live and well in 2025. There's so much going on in our area, so much in our town. It's pretty remarkable. But I made a decision that today's topic is going to be something that's really interesting, I think, in the town of Cornelius, and that would be the real estate market. And my goodness, what a real estate year we had in 2024. And for that, I had to bring in the experts. So, you know, we've got a lot of realtors here in our town that do a good job, but one especially helpful and I think knowledgeable in the overall aspects of what's going on in the real estate world, particularly here in the Lake Norman area, is Wendy Atherton.
Thanks, Woody. It's great to be here.
And it's great to have you. And you're with the Winston Dane group. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
That's awesome. And, you know, you've been at this a few years, and you're kind of one of my go-to people when it comes to real estate decisions, and just the facts. You do a lot of research, and you really stay on top of this market, and I certainly appreciate that and appreciate your good advice and directions to make good decisions here. So anyway, with that, 2024 is an interesting year. Would you call it a good year, or what would you, or an evolving year, or how would you define it?
I would say 2024 was a pretty big transitional year in a lot of ways. The good news, though, I think for anyone who owns a home anywhere around Lake Norman, and especially in Cornelius, is that our market continues to still be very much in demand. And we see that in the data. You know, countrywide, transactions overall were down significantly. We haven't seen the level of homes that traded since like 1995.
Wow.
In terms of the actual volume. And a lot of that was very interest rate driven. And so we saw overall just a decline in the number of units that traded. And we saw that around the lake as well.
Sure.
I think 2025 we'll start to see that pick up. And if you look at all the different analysts that cover the real estate market nationwide, they all seem to agree to some extent. There's variation in terms of how much of a pickup we'll see, but everybody expects to see units move more so in 2025.
So talk a little more specifically about the inventory levels and how that looked during the year, because that usually translates into how well realtors do or don't do, correct?
Correct, right. And how long it takes for a home to sell and what it ultimately sells for. We saw, we saw overall in 2024, inventory definitely did increase. We all got really spoiled during the heyday of 2020 and 2021 when the real estate market was just wild. And, you know, a lot of folks who have lived here probably remember you barely could get a sign in the yard before a house was under contract. We had an inventory level of under what we look at it in months supply.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if we didn't put any more houses on the market, how long would the houses that are for sale last for the buyer demand that we have? And a healthy balanced market is 6 months. During COVID, we were under 1 month.
Wow.
I was right. And so a lot of folks got kind of used to that momentum. We're still in a relatively low inventory situation. We're in the three-month range in Cornelius. And we see variation around the lake, but our market continues to be healthy. It's definitely edged up. But we've also seen buyer demand keep some pace with that.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about 2025 in just a minute, but I want to finish up on 2024. I think the real estate business itself went through some transitions. Am I right about that?
You are right about that. There was a significant lawsuit that essentially changed how commissions work for real estate agents.
Uh-huh.
And the intent of it was to really decouple compensation that are paid by buyers and sellers in the transaction, and to increase the overall level of transparency. And in a lot of ways, that has been a good thing from where I sit. In practice, we haven't really seen much of a change in terms of the overall level of compensation. But I think if you're a seller, you definitely want to be well advised in terms of how you're handling compensation to a potential buyer's agent.
Gotcha. So talk a little bit about the interest rate setting during 2024. Did that scare off some buyers, or really was that? I think part of the reason that was an issue was prime kept rising, cost of funds kept rising, and all those sorts of things. And I've just got a feeling that that was sort of on purpose by the Feds to slow this market down a bit. So
Absolutely.
So did that really happen?
It did happen, and I think it cooled down buyers, and it cooled down sellers as well. And that's why we saw that overall number of units really cool down last year. You know, there was at the end of 2023, a lot of agents thought that we were going to see rates start to come down coming into early 2024. We were going to have a pretty, healthy spring market. And we really didn't see that. Rates didn't come down. And typically, if you look at the data in Cornelius, the biggest number of new listings here is typically in May, April, May. This year, we actually saw the biggest month for new listings. It was August.
Really?
It was. And so I think a lot of folks were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with rates. And then the folks who really wanted to, make a move did it. But it was later than we typically see. And I think, it's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of sellers that are sitting there on a really great competitive interest rate to turn around and go buy something else and pay 7%. So I think we will see, the Fed was, seeming very positive a few months ago about the number of rate reductions, and that seems to have cooled off a little bit. So, in terms of what 2025 looks like, I'm not expecting a significant improvement in interest rates, but I think we'll see something.
Gotcha. Well, there was another little factor that occurred in 2024 as well, which I got to believe had some impact on the market, particularly the real estate market, and that would be the election. My perception is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, that things were really slow until the election happened. And then all of a sudden, I think whether it goes to, the buying of goods and services, or whether it goes to buying real estate, that seems to me to have had an effect.
It definitely did have an effect. We saw, that increase in August, and then we really saw it start to cool off. Although the December data is pretty interesting, and we can get more into the details on what that looks like as well. But I did see it start to pick up after the election was finally settled.
That was pretty incredible, and I think there was a lot hanging on that election, and there usually is. I think from a political standpoint, there's probably more. The perception is probably it's going to affect it more than it really does. So,
agreed.
Well, this is Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, and we will be right back. We're talking real estate today and the market, and you're going to learn something, I guarantee you. And we'll be right back.
On 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, cooler weather is arriving just on time with the brand new year, and by the weekend, even colder weather on the way, too. In the meantime, plenty of sunshine today. It's cool and breezy, with high temperatures up around 50. We'll go back tonight under a mostly clear sky into the upper 20s, especially around the outlying spots and farms. For our Friday, partly cloudy, low 50s. We'll keep an eye out for a stray shower for our Friday afternoon. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Greystone Lodge in Boone.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Friday night, William Kiley Smith performs at the Wine Maestro in downtown Statesville. His performance of country, southern rock, and classic rock music begins at 7 p.m. Head to the Wine Maestro on West Broad Street in Statesville for the William Kiley Smith Show on Friday night. Kick off the weekend at Primal Brewery in Huntersville with $10 flights on Friday. Explore a variety of delicious brews and find your new favorite. Grab your friends and join Primal Brewery for great beer and good vibes this Friday night. Cheers! 'Tis the season to lace up your skates and glide into the holiday spirit at Brookdale on Ice. For the third year, Brookdale Village in Huntersville has an ice skating rink, and they can't wait to lace up their skates with you. Ice skating reservations to ensure skating time slots are accepted. Walk-ups are also welcome. Go to BrookdaleVillage.com for details, information, and tickets to Brookdale on Ice. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through Sunday. The light show features more than 5 million lights synchronized to music on a 4-mile course through the legendary Oval, Pit Road, and Infield Road course. The show runs nightly from 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Lost Worlds Brewing invites you to a sip and script on Wednesday, January 8th for modern calligraphy fun. Whether you are a stationary nerd, a DIY bride-to-be, or just a crafty individual, you'll be introduced to modern calligraphy. The fun will cover all of the basics and prepare you to add those unique letter details to your snail mail, wedding paper goods, home decor, and more. The perfect crafty night out is Wednesday, January 8th at Lost Worlds Brewing in Cornelius. From our WSIC family to yours, we wish everyone a happy, healthy, and safe new year. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
It's About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
All right, we are back once again. About Town. This is Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, and we're talking about real estate today. You know, in the town of Cornelius, if you are not talking about real estate, you need to be, because we're probably one of the hottest markets I know in 2024, and I think that's probably made true and pushed forward by the fact that we're such a lake community now. But we've got valuable property throughout town with our downtown revitalization going on. I mean, they're just unbelievable opportunities with real estate throughout this town. But the lake with 75 miles, nearly 75 miles of shoreline, really creates a unbelievable opportunity, I think, for the real estate market. And some of the most expensive homes, I think, in this entire region are right here in Cornelius. Wouldn't you think, Wendy?
Absolutely true. You know, our median sales price, if you look at 2024, we're sitting right at $550,000.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We
Wow.
are. We are. And, you know, I remember when I first started selling real estate, you know, a $3 million house was a really expensive house. And
Mhm.
if you know, go on and look online and you'll see, you know, $18 million listings, right? I mean, so we have some beautiful neighborhoods. We have some exquisite homes. And we still see a lot of out-of-state buyers who have a lot of interest in the area, and that drives a lot of our demand. And we talked a little bit about, you know, the election and how that impacted
Sure.
last year. And we definitely saw that, you know, coming off of August, we saw, you know, the volume of new listings started to come down, which is typical. But what's interesting about last year is we actually saw December new listings here in Cornelius go up
Did you really?
about 35% compared to the same time prior year.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, what's interesting about real estate is demand gets deferred versus other types of purchases people make.
Right.
So, you know, when you think about COVID and you have a lockdown, people just don't drink Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the lockdown is over, they don't go out and drink all the Starbucks they skipped.
Mm-hmm.
But with housing, with real estate, they may not buy during the election, but the demand still exists. And I think we see some of that bearing out in the data. The good news about December is while we saw new listings increase, we also saw pending sales increase. So the
Gotcha.
buyer demand is keeping pace
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a really positive sign as well.
Well, you did see a tick down in interest rates too, I think, during that time frame.
We did see a little bit of an improvement there as well.
Yeah, yeah. So that certainly makes a difference, a huge difference as it relates to affordability and things of that nature. So, I another comment about 2024, banking got kind of funky during 2024. Uh, not not so much at my bank because we continued lending, wide open through most of the year and had great demand, particularly on the commercial side. But as far as other banks, there were some that really did stop lending. I mean, they just shut it down. And one of the issues was, deposits are the vehicle that keeps the engine running. I mean, they really are. You've got to have those deposits, and deposits through many banks. I'm not sure 100% of the banks were a challenge. So that tightened up a little bit. A lot of the stock market was booming. So where does the money go? In the stock market, not in the banks. So I think that's turned a little bit, and that's sort of helping fuel the growth as it relates to the lending opportunities that are out there. We're once again wide open again with opportunities, and my little bank has grown just exponentially during 24 and continues that into 25. So I'm really, really proud of that because it gives us something to do, a little job security as well. But anyway, that's certainly got to be a driver. So as far as December goes, how does that set us up for 2025? How has the table been set for 2025? I think there's some predictability as you work yourself through the end of the year. Is that correct?
There is. And, I think when you see pending sales increasing in the month of December, that means we're going to see more closings in January than we typically probably would. And just, talking to a lot of different homeowners in the area, there's a lot of folks that are looking at the spring. There's a lot of buyers that are looking at the spring. And so, I think we're gearing up to see more units trade in 2025. I think interest rate is going to continue to play a role in that. We typically see more interest rate sensitivity, especially under like $1 million price points, because, typically folks are still financing, a good portion of that purchase. We don't see as much interest rate sensitivity when you start getting over $1 million. We see a lot more cash purchases in that higher price range. But I do think that it sets us up well. I think the biggest thing for if you're a seller considering making a move is, does it make sense to wait until March or April when everybody else puts their house on? And yes, you may have more buyers in the market, but you also have more competition with all your neighbors, who are putting their homes on. Or, like right now, there's a big neighborhood in the area, and there's like one house for sale in that neighborhood. So as a homeowner, maybe that's a good time to be competing because you're not competing against much.
Right.
And I think in general, buyers are less apt to want to take projects on. They've had more options in terms of inventory. And if you're a seller and you're putting on a property that maybe has deferred maintenance, you're probably going to suffer a little bit in terms of what you net because of that.
Sure.
Not taking care of.
So how did the condo market hold up in 2024? Is there reason to think that that's catching up or moving forward, or how does that relate to the percentage of homes?
Yeah, I think I was looking at the data, and that market continues to perform well and be healthy. I actually just put one under contract over the holidays, and I think condos are very attractive for a lot of out-of-state second home buyers, and some of those folks kind of get quiet around the holidays because they're not going to travel into town, and our phones have been ringing, with people coming into town. So I think condos still offer a lot. I think there have been some, there's always a concern as if you're a buyer in terms of making sure you understand what assessments look like in the community that you're considering. You hate to get surprised. with a big assessment. So buyers of condos should be making sure that they're looking at the exterior, making sure that they understand the financials of that HOA so that they're not walking into a surprise. But I think our condo market's been healthy here.
Yeah, and I guess realtors got obligations to make sure that potential buyers understand things like that, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So it's it's an interesting thing, and I think one of the phenomenons that I have noticed here in our community is, I've known have a lot of friends in areas like the peninsula and some of the lake communities, and some of them their families have moved on, and they're downsizing for lots of different reasons. They're downsizing, and fortunately, a lot of those good folks are staying in our communities, and it's been real interesting to me to see folks move out of these 5,000-10,000 square foot homes into a 3,000 square foot home, and very happy about it. It's a big draw to the EPCON communities and communities like Watermark, which is a major upscale condo complex here, and also Bailey's Glen. Bailey's Glen continues to grow. Matter of fact, I think that they're just getting ready to introduce another set of condos and apartments there on the grounds of Bailey's Glen. So it continues to grow. And of course, I remember when Bailey's Glen wasn't even here, and so was very familiar with that in the banking world. But anyway, that's. Are you seeing a lot of that with our own citizens, or is it? I guess it's probably a mix with folks coming in from out of town, plus coming in from out of town to get close to their kids, right?
We see a lot of that. We saw a lot of downsizing in 2024, and it was a great opportunity, really. The luxury market here has still remained strong, and you had folks who had realized that they had quite a significant amount of equity and maybe didn't need that 6,000 square foot home anymore, and were able to sell it and turn around and buy a house for cash and negotiate. So if you're buying a $600,000 home for cash, and interest rates were what they were and still are over 7, it gave you a lot of negotiating power. And so we saw clients really who were able to optimize both ends of those transactions. And I think we still continue to see that happening as we move into 2025.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I don't think we're done with that transition, if you will. I totally agree with that. I continue to try to talk my wife into it, but I'm not not being very successful in that particular category. But you get to a point in life and you wonder how much space you really do need, and I think that certainly makes a difference. It really does. So just give me a short synopsis on how is the market changing any in our town in terms of, I think our population's aging a bit. I know I'm one of those, and but there's others too. Is that a good assessment?
Yeah, I think we've seen more activity, in that downsizing segment, right? The older segment that's been in the home for a while that wants to get something smaller. I think we'll continue to see that, and we still see a significant number of second home, out of state folks come in the area.
Very interesting. Well, we're talking real estate today here on About Town. This is Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, and we will be right back.
Don't go anywhere. We'll return with more of Mayor Woody Washam and About Town in just a moment on 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, cooler weather is arriving just on time with the brand new year, and by the weekend, even colder weather on the way too. In the meantime, plenty of sunshine today. It's cool and breezy with high temperatures up around 50. We'll go back tonight under a mostly clear sky into the upper 20s, especially around the outlying spots and farms. For our Friday, partly cloudy, low 50s. We'll keep an eye out for a stray shower for our Friday afternoon. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hey, it's Kevin Harrison with Harrison's. Now's the time to load up on layers. From lightweight long-sleeve t-shirts to heavy-duty Sherpa-lined coats and everything in between, Harrison's has what you need to work safe and work warm all winter long. Come see us on Norman Station Boulevard in Mooresville.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
At Kane Center for the Arts, we believe art is for everyone. From our exciting performing arts series and gallery exhibits to robust education programs and impactful community initiatives, there's something for everyone. Visit kanearts.org.
How about savings off a brand new car? Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville. We've got our service loaners with just a few thousand miles on them. Save thousands of dollars on all makes and models. That's F-150, Expedition, Explorers, Lincolns, Corsair, Navigator. I tell you, these cars are like brand new. Never been titled. You're the first owner. Save thousands. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, I-77, right here in Statesville. You know where we are, folks. Right where the spinning car is. That's where the deals are. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. Come see us today.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. A nice way for a market to start a new year is to get a nice economic reading to wrap up the old one. Today, the Labor Department's tally of new unemployment claims shows an unexpected drop last week to an 8-month low. The measure of ongoing claims, which had been trending higher, fell to a 3-month low, keeping in mind that last week included Christmas, meaning it's not uncommon to see some volatility in these types of numbers. So how is the housing market going to look in the new year? The mortgage business hopes better than the end of the old year. Today, the Mortgage Bankers Association says the average rate on a 30-year fixed loan rose to 6.97% last week, highest since early July. Little surprise then that mortgage demand fell. Purchase loan applications down 7% last week. Refi applications tumbled 23% to their slowest in a year. On Wall Street, still have gains, but they're smaller than they were earlier, from 1% to now roughly 0.25% for the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
24/7 worldwide, non-stop.
WSIC.
Local starts here. Now, more about town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
And we're back. Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam here with Wendy Atherton. She is with the Winston Dane Group here in the town of Cornelius. Has been at this for several years now. I guess one of the interesting things that, to me, that seems to have changed, I haven't listed a house in a long time. And, it seems like one of the things that has changed tremendously is how you market yourself. Going into 2025, that seems to be a ever-changing kind of approach, and different realtors, I think, do that in different ways. I know you guys are pretty high-tech oriented in your outreach, and that's probably why you deal with a lot of out-of-state potential buyers here in our market. So, give me an assessment, even during the time that you and your husband Sean have been doing this. I suspect that way of going about selling yourself, if you will, has changed tremendously.
It definitely has. And I think, in a lot of ways, we're really a marketing company that happens to do real estate.
Yeah, good way to look at it.
And it's across the board in all industries to try to get the attention of a consumer is a challenge. There's so much coming at people. And really, whoever can capture the attention is who's going to ultimately win. And if you're looking to sell your house, you want to make sure that your house is getting that attention, because that's how you're going to get more eyeballs, more offers, and ultimately you're going to net more money. So I think embracing technology, which is continuing to evolve. I mean, you think about AI, for example, and there's a lot of different use cases in our space in terms of how we can leverage AI. I think the big theme of 2024 that will continue into 2025 is video, video, video. We're very video heavy in terms of content creation, both for what we do as agents and also video creation for our clients' homes that we are looking to sell.
Well, I'm sure you have buyers that never see the house. Is that a true statement?
There still is some of that. It's not quite as wild as it was during the COVID days, where a buyer would call up from California and want to make an offer on a property sight unseen. And it was not only sight unseen to them, but a lot of times it was sight unseen to you as the agent. I couldn't walk in the property either. We still get quite a bit of virtual showing activity. I just had one recently where clients out of state, condo comes on the market, it's what they're looking for. I toured with them via video and they made an offer. And they didn't walk in it until the day of their walkthrough.
Wow.
So we still do see some of that. And I think, consumers continue to get more and more sophisticated, and information is readily found. It's not like the old days where, you could only see a house or know about a house if you went through a real estate agent. Anybody can find out what's on the market. You go on Zillow or any of the big sites and see that. And so the value is really in terms of how you present that property and getting it in front of the right buyer at the right time. And that's what we really focus on is I'm targeting likely buyers who have expressed some type of interest and who are in that price range. And who are doing other behavioral types of things online that would tell me that they're in the market to purchase a home. And then I'm putting that content in front of them.
Right.
And then we leverage the big publications for luxury as well, Wall Street Journal, Barron's, all of those. So you really need to get that reach, especially if you're in that luxury segment, because it's a good chance that buyer doesn't live here.
That's quite interesting. And, our state's changing tremendously. North Carolina, I was recently at a mayor's conference down in Wilmington, and there's a lot of big chatter going on down there over a lot of different topics. But one of those topics was the fact that North Carolina is now the third fastest growing state in the country. That is just amazing to me. And I read something the other day that we may pick up yet another congressman. We may justify a congressman because of the growth in our population here. Crazy. It's just really an interesting time. But I guess jobs are coming here, and opportunities for people to work here in our region is certainly tremendously popular. And, we've got good things going on to make it easier for people to work here. We've improving our roads. That's been a little bit of a detriment for us. And we're talking rail coming to, I know, our community here, but that will connect the Lake Norman region, I think, in a much better way. And you simply can't build enough roads in these days and times.
Right.
You just can't do that. So to have the opportunity for rail to get folks back and forth to work has got to be a major things. But you guys probably also see the fact that the labor market's changing as well here in this area, and I think that definitely would have an effect on it too. So, where would you think that, with all that said, that was a mouthful, but with all that said, where are your buyers coming from? Is there a particular part of the country that more come from than other parts?
Personally, for us, we've seen we work with a lot of folks from California, and we work with a lot of folks from the Northeast. And, we also get, like right now, we've got a few buyers that are actually looking to move here from South Carolina and Florida. And so, I think there's like anybody, people move to a new state, they try it out. Maybe it's not the exact fit, and we see Lake Norman. There's a lot of attractiveness around Lake Norman, for all the reasons that you mentioned. I get a lot of inquiries from people who don't know a lot about the lake, that are really preliminary in exploring the area, and but once they come here, they want to live here.
Yeah.
I just had folks here over Christmas that are looking to move here from Bluffton, South Carolina, and
very attractive community.
a great spot, really great spot. And I drove them all around Cornelius. They love the Kane Center. They appreciate all the different things to do in the area, how convenient it is to get to the airport for them. And, I think those things resonate. So, we focus on doing a lot of education as much as we can up front for individuals who are trying to learn about the area. And we really tap into a lot of the resources that are here locally too, to try to help further that, because there is a lot to know about Cornelius. And I think into 2025, we're going to continue to see that. I think that real estate's not going to get less expensive. I think if you were going to buy a house, probably, the time is like right now if you're going to try and negotiate a better deal, because it's not going to get cheaper.
Right.
From what I see in the data.
Yeah. That's not surprising. Hopefully some of the cost of building will get a little cheaper, because it's horrendous right now. I mean, it really is. And I think the impact of that is part of a little bit of the slowdown as far as new communities are concerned. So you just don't see that much. You're just kind of treading in the inventory's already out there.
Right.
And but the new building opportunities I think they'll come back as rates come down. I think
I agree.
That's certainly part of the transition. I know that on the commercial side, which is mostly what I do at the bank, the projects are slow to start. We've had some here in Cornelius that have stopped, absolutely stopped after they were approved, and a lot of work done. And I think some of that's related to lots of things. The interest rate's one of them, but the cost of construction is just horrendous. I know that building roads is certainly part of that, and it's become horrendous as far as the increase in expense, and that's what slowed some of our projects down a little bit. But it's all related. It's all construction. So whether it's commercial or whether it's residential, it's all construction. So anyway, so as we go into 2025, the Fed seems to be all over the place. But I think there's some unknowns as it relates to the new administration. Not bad unknowns. I don't mean that at all. I think it's pretty exciting, some of the potential changes that could be made. But things like privatizing Fannie Mae and different things like that. Kind of interesting, don't you think?
I do. I agree. I think there's a little bit of a wild card element in terms of how all that's going to shake out in 2025. And I think there's an element of people that always have to make a move for whatever reason, that are going to do it no matter what the rates are.
Right.
And there's another population of people that at some point, have accepted where the rates are, and they're just going to make a decision anyway.
Exactly. And they just have to do that, for job-related purposes or whatever. A lot more to come on the real estate on About Town. Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam will be right back in just a couple of minutes.
There's more About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, cooler weather is arriving just on time with the brand new year, and by the weekend, even colder weather on the way, too. In the meantime, plenty of sunshine today. It's cool and breezy with high temperatures up around 50. We'll go back tonight under a mostly clear sky into the upper 20s, especially around the outlying spots and farms. For our Friday, partly cloudy, low 50s. We'll keep an eye out for a stray shower for our Friday afternoon. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Friday night, William Kiley Smith performs at the Wine Maestro in downtown Statesville. His performance of country, southern rock, and classic rock music begins at 7 p.m. Head to the Wine Maestro on West Broad Street in Statesville for the William Kiley Smith Show on Friday night. Kick off the weekend at Primal Brewery in Huntersville with $10 flights on Friday. Explore a variety of delicious brews and find your new favorite. Grab your friends and join Primal Brewery for great beer and good vibes this Friday night. Cheers! 'Tis the season to lace up your skates and glide into the holiday spirit at Birkdale on Ice. For the third year, Birkdale Village in Huntersville has an ice skating rink, and they can't wait to lace up their skates with you. Ice skating reservations to ensure skating time slots are accepted. Walk-ups are also welcome. Go to BirkdaleVillage.com for details, information, and tickets to Birkdale on Ice. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through Sunday. The light show features more than 5 million lights synchronized to music on a 4-mile course through the legendary Oval, Pit Road, and Infield Road course. The show runs nightly from 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Lost Worlds Brewing invites you to a sip and script on Wednesday, January 8th for modern calligraphy fun. Whether you are a stationary nerd, a DIY bride-to-be, or just a crafty individual, you'll be introduced to modern calligraphy. The fun will cover all of the basics and prepare you to add those unique letter details to your snail mail, wedding paper goods, home decor, and more. The perfect crafty night out is Wednesday, January 8th at Lost Worlds Brewing in Cornelius. From our WSIC family to yours, we wish everyone a happy, healthy, and safe New Year. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
We're back with more of About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, and we are about town today talking real estate with Wendy Atherton, who's with the Winston Dane Group here in Cornelius, a local group that has been in business around here for several years, doing a good job in the real estate arena here in our town, which is a definite major industry in our town. How many real estate agents you think there are in our town? There must be hundreds, Wendy.
There are quite a lot of us.
Some of the agents I think around are a little more serious than others. I know you guys work at it full time.
Oh, absolutely.
Full time commitment. It's your job, full time job. So I think that's one way to look at it. So, but I think one of the special services that a good agent will provide is telling folks that are thinking about the sale of their home or even buying a home how to prepare for that. I would think both sides of that equation is pretty important. How do you folks deal with that as it relates to potential clients coming through here?
It's really important, and I think it's become more and more important as you look at the market that we're coming out of. That where we saw it really slow down, and back during COVID, you could put your house on the market and stick a sign in the yard, and your house was going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case anymore. You need a plan. You need a good strategy as a seller. We spend a lot of time with sellers talking through getting their home prepared for the market. So. There's some projects that have a great return. There's other things that just does not make sense to do. And, each case is going to be a little bit different, but spending the time to really talk through, get a plan together. We have vendors for everything that a homeowner might need.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you need to have some minor repairs done, we got that covered. If you need to get your home pressure washed, we got that covered. So all the big things that make sense to get your home ready, because when you launch your home onto the market, that initial first, few days that home is for sale, those are important days.
Mm-hmm.
And you really want that house to make a splash. You want to make sure that it's getting in front of the right buyers. You want to make sure that you're getting momentum so that you're not sitting on the market, kind of languishing out there, right? So that's a big part of what we do, and we spend the time to make sure that that's done correctly. And for buyers, same thing. If you're thinking about making a purchase, really understanding your essential criteria. What is really important that you have to have in a property? And what are things that might be nice things to have, but aren't necessarily essential things? And having your financials all in order so that when you do find the home that's the one for you, you're ready to make a move on it. I think that's a big piece. So a lot of education in terms of the process. Every state's different in terms of how real estate transactions work. We have sort of some quirky things. A lot of our clients from other states come here and they're like, what is due diligence? How does that work? Right? That's a big surprise. So you really have to be educated about that. And so I think that is an important thing. Really position yourself best foot forward to have a successful transaction.
That's awesome. Folks, you can call and ask Wendy some questions if you like, and just dial on in at 844-STUDIO-4 or 844-788-3464, or again, 844-STUDIO-4. Ask her a hard question because she's got some great answers for sure. So that's something we would certainly invite you to do. So in addition to that, I guess the other side of the coin, even later on, Wendy, if folks want to contact you or your group, how would they do that?
Oh, sure. So you can hit us on our website, www.winstondane.com. Or you can call 704-575-5730 or email me at wendy.atherton@winstondane.com. All work. And would love to connect. And a lot of times folks might have a question. They're not thinking about doing a transaction, in the next 6 months, but maybe they're thinking about making some improvements to their home and they want to make sure that they're doing something that's, makes sense for their longer term plans. I'm happy to answer those kind of questions too.
Right. And, one of the, to me, one of the major new phenomenons with real estate is almost every day I get emails or text from folks wanting to buy my properties. And, I don't have, as much as some people in this town, but I do have some rental properties, and we also have our home in an adjacent lot. So folks find that stuff out. I guess they do a lot of research, and there's probably programs that will help assist in digging up information like that. And how real is that? Are people just kind of looking for a deal, or are they going to pay you top dollar?
Well, it really can depend. So personally for us, we do try to locate off-market options for our buyers. And when you're in a market where you don't have a lot of inventory, and you have a buyer who's ready to go and wants to be in a specific neighborhood or looking for a specific type of home, we will reach out to homeowners and see if there is an interest in selling. Now, is that always the case? You get a lot, I'm sure you get a lot of postcards in the mail, a lot of letters in the mail, looking to see if you're interested in selling. Maybe they have a buyer, maybe they don't. But we're very focused in terms of who we're reaching out to, because we really do have a buyer, or more than one buyer that are looking in that.
Yeah, you're
segment.
wasting your time if you
Right.
don't have that in your hip pocket.
Right. And if you've got a buyer who's ready, willing, and ready to go, as their agent, that's my duty to do everything I can to try to find them that property. And so that's what I'm doing. And but yeah, it's just been tough in terms of options in a lot of different segments of our market. Not a whole lot for sale.
Yeah, very interesting. But I'm sure we all, if we own property anywhere, it's not just me for sure, are getting those contacts. It's like it's daily, as I said, and it's a little different. I think one of these days I'm going to just throw out a crazy number and see what happens, and just sort of see it.
Never
through
know
and
till you
see
try.
what happens. I know, you just never know till you try. So, it's crazy real estate world around this Lake Norman area for sure. So anyway, where do we go as we as we have begun our journey into 2025. So, where are we traveling this year? I mean, I know you're probably aren't in your peak selling season yet.
No.
How do you prepare for that peak selling season? What's your prediction of that, I guess, in 2025?
Well, for us, I've been having conversations with a lot of different buyers and sellers, always am. And so I know just from my own personal experience that, it's stacking up to be, I think, a strong spring. In terms of what activity is going to look like. And I think the year overall will be that way. I think if we get some positive economic news, that's only going to help things, kind of move further along. I think if you are a buyer and you've been thinking about making a move, this is a great time right now. We haven't had the, spring volume hit. There's homes that have been on the market that have been sitting on the market for whatever reason. And as a buyer, you may be in a spot where you could really negotiate yourself a deal. If you are a seller, I think it's important to start thinking about what, if anything, you need to do to get your home prepared to be on the market. And, one of the first things I always do with potential sellers is look and see, well, if you're on the market right now, who are you competing against? What homes are out there? Because if they're going to buy $1 million house in Cornelius, they're going to look at all the $1 million houses in Cornelius that are on the market. There's not that many of them.
Right.
And so I think, as a seller, that's a wise thing to do, to start to think about how you can get your home ready. Do I need to, declutter, get some things out of here, do some maintenance things in advance that might make my home show better. Buyers don't want projects. They're less inclined to accept that. Or if they do, they're going to want a discount. And then there's things like, for example, if you're on the water, make sure you have your dock permit. Make sure you've had it transferred into your name with Duke, right? A lot of people don't realize that that's a step they need to do. In some instances, it might be a beneficial thing to have a pre-inspection done on your home so that you know what's going on with your house, and you can actually hand it to a prospective buyer and say, see, I had a pre-inspection, I fixed A, B, C, and D. I'm not going to fix these 4 things, and I'm pricing my house competitively to sell it. So there's a lot of different strategies, depending on the situation. We have clients that need a lease back for whatever reasons, right? So, that's a good thing to know up front. So I think just getting prepared as we come into the spring.
Sure. Well, I've always heard that, if you own a house, it really makes sense to keep it updated by committing a certain amount each year. I've heard that from a number of real estate agents over the years.
Yep.
I've tried to do that, but there's years that probably I've done better than others. So anyway, I wish we had time to delve into that a little bit, but anyway, it's an interesting phenomenon to. It's really part of your financial plan, because there'll be a day where you will want to sell that property.
Correct.
I feel like that would be the case. Well, I know that I've learned a lot today, Wendy, and I appreciate your time and your efforts to kind of explain things like people can understand it, and I think that means a lot. So we'll be back next week. The Cornelius Police Department will be hosting our show next week, and I look forward to that. It's been a great session today. Thank you, Wendy Atherton from the Winston Dane Group, winstondane.com, and we will see you about town. Have a great day and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville.